Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
Thank you, sir. So, good evening, one and all respected dignitaries present here for the function. It is with immense pleasure and pride as a faculty of this institution that I am participating here for the inaugural function of the Civil Services Aspirants Club of TKM College of Engineering, Kollam. So, as the saying goes, take politics out of the government and the country will flourish. Whereas you take the civil service out of the nation or the government and the country will collapse. I think the role of civil service servants cannot be explained any better in a nation through the statement. Our institution, the TKM College of Engineering, Kollam, is the proud alma mater of many civil services bureaucrats. Our chief guest, the esteemed chief guest, Sri Biju IAS, an excellent administrator who has served in various key positions, is one among them. We are extremely honored to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
So, as already mentioned, the Civil Services Club was unofficially founded in 2016, in which one of our very active members, or alumnus, I must say, Ms. Veena Sudet, played an active role. So today, Veena, she has attempted the UPSC examination 3 times continuously with continuous success, and finally accomplished her dream of being an IFS officer in the past examination. The club, the Civil Services Club, has been conducting many activities and orientations over these years, so starting from 2016. And following these many activities, I must say that it was again another of our alumnus, Sri Sajeev PK of 89 Civil Batch, Managing Director of Aroma International Building Contracting, a leading construction organization in UAE, who sponsored a project, Center for Civil Service Aspirants, in our central library of the TKMC. It is an air-conditioned and renovated space which is named as Aroma Lace, Library for Aspiring Civil Service Education, and it is exclusively constructed for conducting reading, group discussions, webinars, and video conferencing with the best technology that is available today. And it is right now located inside the central library. So today, the Civil Services Aspirants Club is officially, with all its capabilities, both physical and infrastructural and human resources, it is starting off its functioning officially today. The club shall be working in association with the Central Library, and it has planned many events in the coming year. That includes orientation programs, special lectures, quiz, group discussions, etc. So we hope that this venture and this alliance with the Central Library will help the budding aspirants to achieve their dream destinations. So with that, I want to officially welcoming the gathering. Sri K. Biju IAS, presently the Commissioner of Land Revenue Department, an IAS officer of 2006 batch, and our alumnus of 1999 Mechanical Engineering batch. I must say that it was with continuous and consistent effort of our club members that we got Sir to fix this time, convenient time for this inaugural program. We hope that your words are going to keenly motivate and inspire many of all the students who have gathered here and take up civil services for a profession. I thank you, sir, for your presence, and I welcome you to this function.
Thank you.
Our principal, Dr. Shahul Hamid, has been diligently following the activities of our club, and he has been a constant source of inspiration and motivation to all the students and faculty here. In fact, it was his idea of clubbing the activities of the club and the library so that things can be accounted for and we can bring in more and more students to take up this profession seriously. I thank you, sir, for this constant motivation, and even in your absence, I record my warmest greetings to you. In his absence, our Dean Administration, Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, sir, will be presiding the function. I welcome you, sir, for this function. I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Annie John, Chairperson of the Library Council, who is the backbone of the team and who has been a constant motivator for all the endeavors of the Library Council. I welcome you, ma'am, for this function. So the Civil Services Club, it deserves a lot of appreciation for their activities, especially when they were conducting it in their unofficial capacity. So I welcome the entire team and especially the official team the faculty coordinator, Professor Atul Madhu, and the entire student team headed by Ms. Arsha, Jumna, and Ash. I welcome the Civil Services Club, Aspirants Club, to this function. I also welcome all the people who are attending this meeting and sincerely urge the students to make maximum benefit of the club and its resources and help the club in continuing their activities. I wish this Civil Services Aspirants Club all the very best. Thank you all and welcome again to this function. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the warm welcome address. In the absence of our principal, I would like to invite Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, Principal in Charge, TKM College of Engineering, for the presidential address.
Hello, Aditya, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Respected Chief Guest of the Day, Sri K. Biju IAS, Dr. Annie John, Chairman of Library Council, Dr. Amal Azad Sahib, Joint Coordinator of Library Council, Professor Abdul Madhu, Faculty Coordinator, Arsha, and Aditya Saji. Good evening. At the outset, I'm very happy to preside over today's function and see that our Civil Service Aspirants Club is formally inaugurated. TKM has been a fertile area for TKM for civil service aspirants because we have a lot of opportunities for leadership activities, debates, but it was not structured. And because of that, we were having maybe one, maybe two people getting into this great service every year. It was a dream of our current principal and previous principal, Dr. S. Ayub, current principal, Dr. Shaul Hamid, that if we have great civil servants, great IAS officers, they can contribute to the nation in a great way. Being engineers, they'll be able to solve many problems. They'll be able to see the problems and come up with innovative solutions so that they can serve the society. I was fortunate to be associated with Sri Arjun Pandian IAS. I was advisor. I have fond memories of Sri Arjun Pandian IAS. Since I was his advisor, we went for a tour together. I have seen his leadership qualities. What I cherish most is after getting his, after he qualified for civil service, he came to a college as a chief guest. And for me, I was treating him with great respect, but Sri Arjun Pandian IAS was very close to me. He was the same old student. I was like a person who has got some very precious gift. I was taking him. I didn't know what to do with him. I took him to my final year class students so that they will interact and they will get the maximum out of it. And there was one major event for the first year students. There was a big crowd of 700 to 800 students attending their induction program. So that was one of the one moment which I cherish a lot. So these activities were kind of, I know Ayub sir has motivated few students and they have qualified and they are serving the nation in various capacities. So these were all unstructured activities. Out of the impulse, some teachers have been triggered. Without inspiration from teachers, some students, because of their own drive, they have taken civil service as a career. They have put in a lot of effort to qualify the exams. All these activities were unstructured. And one thing, what makes TKM special even before Civil Service Aspirants Club is, one of the great things which we are proud about TKM is, even if you don't, we teach technology. Beside that, the students who come here have a sense of value, have a sense of caring for the downtrodden. That somehow, because of national service scheme and because of every institution will have a culture. We are proud of that culture. So all these were unstructured. Now with the Civil Service Aspirants Club, these things will get structured. So now we won't be having one or two people qualifying for civil service. Whoever dreams, whoever want to, we don't want to push people into civil service. Whoever want to serve the nation, whoever wants to be a support to the society, whoever want to work hard, really hard, we want to give them all the opportunities. And as Dr. Amal has said, the Civil Service Aspirants Club, the office is located within the library, and we have Dr. Annie John in charge of the Library Council. So whatever you want, I'm sure that the college will be able to do it. And so I don't want to take too much of your time. We want to hear from Sri Biju IAS. His words will definitely be a trigger for all of you. So he has served in our state in various capacities. So thank you. Let me also thank you, sir, for taking your valuable time and being with us. And I'll say one word and I will kind of wind up. Shahul, this was a dream project of Shahul, sir. It's unfortunate that he was not well. I tried to kind of make him join today also, but since he's my friend also, I didn't push him beyond a point. He's not really well. He requires rest. I convey his greetings from Shahul, sir, to Sri Biju IAS for accepting our invitation and coming over here. Thank you, sir, for being with us. So with these words, I wish the Civil Service Aspirants Club all greatness, and let your club bring glory to our college and state. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. An engineer who turned into an IAS officer. 1999 mechanical batch pass out of TKMC. Sri K. Biju IAS, Commissioner of Land Revenue Department. He is an Indian Administrative Service Officer of 2006 batch. He has previously led the Skill Development Mission of Government of Kerala, Kerala Academy for Skills Excellence KASE. He also held the post of Labour Commissioner and Director of Employment and Training under the Department of Labour and Skills, Government of Kerala. He was also the District Collector and District Magistrate of Malappuram District. Actions speak louder than words. The proverb seems to do justice with Sri K. Biju IAS. With more than 10 years wide experience in the Indian Administrative Service, he has administrative, managerial, and diplomatic experience in various posts at state and national levels. Earlier in his career, he was a sub-collector of Trivandrum and the Corporation Secretary of Trivandrum and Cochin. He has also served as the project director of Kuttanadu Package and Idukki Package. He also worked as Assistant Collector of Palakkad and MD and Chairman of Kerala Academy of Skill Excellence. With immense pleasure, I welcome you, sir, for the inaugural address.
Thank you for your kind words. And Dr. Amal sir, who had given a beautiful welcome address, as well as Dr. Imtiaz, who had delineated about how many civil servants have graduated from there, including Shri Arjun Pandian, who is now the DDC in Idukki, and he was also involved in the this season Sabrimala administrative activities. Dr. Annie John, Professor Atul M. Madhu, Ms. Arsha V. Chand, Ms. Jumna, and all the students and friends of the TKM Civil Service Club. It is with immense satisfaction as well as with pride that I would like to address all of you. So I would not actually like it to be a one-way approach in terms of me giving you a very big lecture about how this service is and how do we go about this entire process. In the interaction, maybe we will be trying to understand it better. But let me just put across few issues or few points which you need to remember when you just enter into this scene that you want to become an IAS officer or you want to become somebody who wants to serve the nation. One is that if you define an IAS officer, he's a jack of all trades, master of none. In the sense that I graduated from TKM. I never expected that I will come into the service. At the same time, being an engineer, most of my batchmates in the Mussoorie Academy, around 25 of them are from the IITs. And when I went there, I saw that there are another 20 of them or 25 of them from the IIMs. Then there are some people from AIMS and from different institutions across India. So the question is that the basic degree which you require to become an IAS officer is any degree for that matter. So don't ever think that engineering is the only step. Any other degree can be taken to write this examination. So why I told jack of all trades, master of none is, sometimes you will be sitting in the tribal department, sometimes you will be sitting in the Ministry of Finance, sometimes you will be sitting in the Ministry of Science and Technology. But wherever you go, you will have to perform the administrative function which is required. So you need to know everything about the world, but you need not know everything. The point is that you need to know every bit of something in the what is happening in the society as well as across the globe. That is the purpose of being an IAS officer. As well as when you come into a particular position, you learn on the job. That is why this proverb comes, the jack of all trades, master of none. At the same time, what are the important ingredients for students who aspire to be a civil servant? One is you should have wide reading ability, or you should cultivate that ability when you are in college. Now, what do you read? The most important thing for an examination is that whatever you have studied from 3rd to 12th only appears for the examination. Can you believe it or not? The point is, something in geography which is asked today, when we are studying in our school days, we study mostly to get good marks, we study mostly to bring laurels to our institution, and we study for our parents also. Or we study to pursue a career so that we get admission in TKM or we get admission in engineering colleges. Now the point is, when the examination question paper comes, whatever you have studied from 3rd to 12th only will appear in the question paper. But when you go to answer it, you will not be able to answer it. Why? Because most of the time when we study, we don't understand and study. Understanding and studying means the basic concept is what they ask in the examination. That basic concept, sometimes after we pass out of engineering, we will have to relearn. But being an engineering graduate, most of these basic concepts will be already ingrained into you, because you would have found out about the basics of mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and geography, etc. You would have studied it. Being an engineering graduate, you know the basics of maths, physics, and biology or chemistry, etc., because you write for the entrance examination. So the point is that you need to have wide reading ability. And what are the newspapers that you are supposed to read right from your, maybe suppose you have not done it in 12th standard or 10th standard, you need to do it from your engineering college days. So you need to have a wide reading of the English newspapers which are currently relevant. Maybe you can take the Hindu newspaper. I am not advocating Hindu newspaper, but you should start having that reading habit of looking at national, international, sporting, and business events. Now, the questions which come in the paper will be from these newspapers, but it will be totally not a direct question. It will be an indirect question. So when these indirect questions come, means you are not reading the newspaper thoroughly. For example, when I wrote the civil service exam, there was a question. I do not know how many of you will answer it. There was a question: Alexei Shirov belongs to which country, and which game is he associated with? Most of the people, I know what answer they will give. Is it Ukraine, or is it Russia, or any other country? So most of the people wrote Alexei Shirov. When they looked at that name, they wrote Russia. But the answer is, it is Spain. So when we don't read the newspaper thoroughly, we just read it peripherally, we will not be able to answer the general knowledge question properly. So when suppose we normally will be following tennis or some business event, or some ISRO would have launched some spacecraft. Now, the question they will ask is, which one of the following is not a feature of the Cartosat satellite? So we would not even have read what are the features of that particular satellite in the newspaper. We will just read ISRO launched some telecommunication satellite. So in-depth reading of a newspaper is very important for you to crack the civil service examination. So please make it a practice to read it thoroughly. Every issue under the sun, you should be able to have some knowledge about. For that, you need to have thorough reading ability and reading capacity. That means when you start reading, it will help you to think properly. So when you think only, you will be able to answer these questions which they are putting up in the mains examination, which is essay based. So I'll just tell you the structure of the examination. The examination structure is having 3 doors. In a house, you have 3 doors. The first door is called the preliminary examinations. Normally, it comes in the month of May. Subsequently, maybe around 10 lakh or 8 lakh to people write this preliminary examination, which is a qualifying examination, which is objective based paper. In the morning, you have a paper, and afternoon, you have a second paper. That is, one is Csat and one is general studies. In the general studies is also having negative marking. Even in the Csat exam, you have negative marking, but these both are objective type questions. Now, this is called the first door. Suppose you clear the first examination, that is morning and afternoon, there is a joint cutoff mark. Once you clear that examination, your first door to civil service is open. And always remember, the competition is not between you and the 10 lakh people who are writing. The competition is only between you and yourself. Please don't compare and start studying. Whatever you have to study, you have to study, and the competition is only between you. If you start comparing, there is no end to it. Now, that door, once it is opened and you qualify, from that 10 lakh people, they will be taking maybe 1 lakh 50,000 people who will be allowed to write the mains examination. That is called the second door. Once you enter the mains examination, then from that they will sift out from the mains maybe 10,000 or 15,000 people, or 10,000 or 5,000 people who will be called for the interview in the next year. So this examination, so once you clear the mains, then you are called for the interview. Now, mains consist of essay type questions, which you are normally writing in engineering. You will write hundreds of essay questions. You will write in thermodynamics. You will write in, in so many answers you will be writing. But the point is, what is the difference between what you write now and what you write in the civil service is, it is actually, you have to be very precise in what you write. You should be well read in current relevant matters connected to that subject. Also, you should stick to your word limit, and you should not write language which is very verbose and very complicated. It should be very simple, and you should have presence of mind. Now, for all these things, now when a professor tells me that I'm having a exam in mechanical engineering, that question which the teacher has taught me, I will just write it down and I will get a mark. But in civil service, it is not so. They will ask for the application of knowledge for a particular answer. So you will have to actually do some wide reading and bring the current relevant topics when you're writing. That is the difference between what we write in engineering colleges or in other arts colleges and in the civil service examination. So suppose if they tell you a question, then they say that just comment on the Indo-China problem. You just simply cannot write from some institute or some book. You will have to, you would have read it 2 years before some issues. That also has to be brought into the current relevant answer. Plus the issues which are currently going on also you have to bring. So the examiner will actually understand that this particular boy or girl is currently updated with the relevant issues which are concerning that particular issue. So that is the issue. That is the way we are supposed to write. So there is a way to read, there is a way to study, and there is a way to write the answers. The present system of how we do will not work when we go for the examination. Another issue is, after the mains examination, you have a series of papers on your subject. You can take mechanical engineering, you can take chemistry, mathematics, plus the general studies which I told you. So your continuous reading, if it is not practiced today, when you reach that day of the examination, you will not have, it is like brushing your teeth in the morning. You need to develop this habit of reading properly the newspapers and being abreast of the current national, international, business and sporting events, so that you get directly or indirectly, you will be getting around 600 marks. So the 600 marks is so valuable, and it depends on your reading ability. Being engineers, you will not have problem with the aptitude portion of it, because there is basic mathematics which you can brush through, and basic English vocabulary, that is not an issue. But reading is a very important ingredient which you need to take up. And then once you clear the mains, around 5,000 to 6,000 people, or maybe 10,000 people, out of that, there'll be very few people who are called for this interview. Now, interview is not nothing, it is only 300 marks. Your major chunk of marks come from the mains examinations. So if you get good marks in mains, you will be called for a personality test. That is called the interview. That is only 300 marks. But the personality test is not something to test your knowledge. It is to test the personality traits in a particular individual. So what are the personality traits they test? They test your integrity. They test your intellectual honesty. They test your truthfulness. They will test what is your stand on corruption. They will test your subject knowledge. I am a mechanical engineer. When I went, there was a person who set up the IITs who was my chairman. So he asked me Pascal's law. He asked me Bernoulli's principle. He asked me the drip irrigation system because I come from an agricultural family. He asked me what is the diameter of the pipe. Then he went into IC engines. So my subject knowledge was strong. So then after that, he kept quiet. Then he went into another question. I had kept hobby as playing tennis. Then I kept yoga, meditation. But actually, you should be very careful with what you write. You have to be very, very truthful. So if you do not answer truthfully, then again, you get 0 on that personality trait. So there are 10 or 15 personality traits, but you will never recognize that they are asking some question and you think that, oh, I made a mistake. That question was not answered properly. But they are not looking at that at all. They look only through that question, whether this personality trait is fulfilled for that particular candidate. There was one person who went before me, in one interview, one person was from the IIT. So he wrote in his biodata, hobby is gardening. Now, why I'm telling it is so important to be truthful is, when you write gardening, that particular, the board member was Arundhati Ghosh, an IFS officer. She took him around the UPSC garden and told him to name all those plants, at least name 2. He could not name anything. So his mark was only 25, in spite of him being from the IIT. So that particular trait was immediately noticed, and then his other trait, they didn't even bother about it. So we should be very careful. It is all, the interview is not about your subject knowledge has been tested in the mains. The interview is about your personality trait. So these personality traits are tested through different questions. For example, when I went, they asked me whether you know anything about the Punalur paper mill. Actually, I had read something, but you should never tell lies. So they asked me again, 3 times they asked me, you are being from Kerala, how come you do not know what is the exact issue in Punalur paper mill? Unfortunately, I didn't go so much into the issue, but I told, sorry, sir, I would not like to tell because I do not know. And incidentally, there was a Keralite in my board who was sitting with a mundu and shirt on the right-hand corner. And that person was a subject knowledge expert from Trivandrum. I didn't know. But after I finished my interview, it was one of the toughest boards. When I came out, I didn't know that he was from Kerala. And when I got the civil service, he wrote me a letter saying that this was your mark. I was sitting in the right-hand corner. Do you remember me? So after I got through, I went and met him and sought his blessings. But what he told me is, because we gave you the highest mark in that board because of your truthfulness and honesty. Not that I'm truthful and honest, I'm advocating. But in the board, they found that whatever I didn't know, I told I don't know. And these were the personality traits which they try to analyze. So these 3 doors will have to be opened by you. And that is first the prelims, which is objective type, the mains, which is essay-based type, and the last is the interview. Now, what is the problem with this examination is that it is a very, very lengthy examination. You will have to work 1.5 years. And if you don't get, again, you have to go 1.5 years. So you should be ready for this long haul when you're going. And for people like me, we didn't have many people to mentor us and to exactly tell us how to study and what to study. So people will end up studying 400 books and they will tell that they're studying for civil service. And if they don't get, they will say, I studied so hard, but I didn't get. Now, the point is, please study intelligently. It is a very, very easy exam. But if you do not know how to study and how to read, then you will find it a very difficult exam. Then please don't study too many books. If for example, for economics, if I tell that there are 25 books, some people will buy 25 books. It's not necessary. If you're buying one good book, please see that you study it thoroughly. And if you need help, please go and ask somebody for help. And also for a particular subject you do not know, you can go for an orientation tuition, etc. So please don't think that this is a very tough exam. It is only for very brilliant people. No, it is a very commonsensical exam, but the path or the way which you should follow should be very, very clearly put out. Now, I can actually tell you from start what to do, but I will just give you a basic orientation. The issue is that you should, it is like what this Navjot Singh Sidhu says, that there are so many people aiming for the target. And in civil service exam, either you become a hero or a zero. The meaning is that at the end of the 1.5 year, either you get it or you don't get it. So it is better to catch the people young and see that you get into the civil service at the age of 23, so that you gravitate to becoming the Cabinet Secretary of India, so that you can contribute to this nation building. Another thing is, when you're looking into the service, the second risk associated with the service, which should be told upfront, is never expect to get your home cadre. You are an all India service officers. You are supposed to serve anywhere from Kashmir to Kerala. By my luck, I got Kerala, but sometimes you can get Tamil Nadu, you can get Nagaland even. But there is opportunities for you to work at the center and across the globe in this service. So it is such a widely what you call variegated job, where you have so much opportunities, and also you can do so many degrees sitting in this particular job. You can do your MBA in Wharton, you can do your MBA in Harvard, everything is paid for you. You can work in the UN on deputation, you can work in the private sector on deputation and come back to this IAS. So the opportunities are unlimited for you in contribution for your personal development, as well as in contribution to the society. So these are the opening remarks which I would like to make. And if any of you would like to, because of COVID situation, we are not able to travel much. But later on, if you feel that I need to come there and mentor you personally, I am very, very, I will be very pleased to come and help. I have helped a lot of students also. So there is nothing, it is for free only. So don't bother about that. You can anytime contact me, and you can meet me here also. I can come over there also. And we will try to help you, because you should not go on the wrong path when you're preparing. Because then some people will get very distressed. Some people will get depressed that they are not getting. Why? I studied so much and I'm not getting. The point is that the correct path has not been told to the people, how to study, how to read, how to write an answer, and what are the problems which we are actually undergoing when we are studying. So these are the basic points which I would like to make in the orientation program for the young civil service aspirants. And please take up this as a profession, because it is a wonderful profession which gives you a lot of satisfaction. Though sometimes you feel it is a thankless job, but the gratitude when you go to bed is that you have helped so many people directly or indirectly, and that is the contribution that you can make. And certainly I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity, and especially Dr. Amal and Dr. Imtiaz and the entire student fraternity for inviting me to inaugurate this event. Thank you once again.
Thank you for your fruitful words, sir. It was really informative. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Annie John Faculty, Department of Architecture, and Chairman, Library Council for the felicitation.
Good evening, one and all. Respected Principal, Chief Guest for the evening, Shri Biju IAS, Dr. Imtiaz, Dr. Amal, Professor Atul, colleagues, and my dear students. TKM Civil Service Corner started in the year 2016 to 17, and officially it was registered as TKM Civil Services Club in 21. And today it's having its inauguration. And it is definitely a very happy moment for each one of us at TKMC. The words of our chief guest, our alumni, has definitely been very inspiring to our students. The dedicated corner for civil services competitive exam preparation in the Civil Service Corner Aroma Lace of the Central Library will see more and more aspirants in the days to come. There have been various activities carried out by students such as quizzes, group discussions, and online expert talks. The club will therefore provide a comprehensive platform to address the needs and aspirations of the civil service aspirants of TKMC. The club has a clear vision to make students aware of the socio-economic, political, and ethical issues around them. It will encourage students to discuss, debate, consent, and dissent on issues of current relevance and facilitate discussions in various fields. It will strive to inspire and impart confidence in every member and help him reach his goals. The COVID-19 pandemic, it has impacted every aspect of our lives. The restrictions have turned the traditional ways and means of communication a key aspect to success, with students, teachers, employers, all switching over to the online methods and apps to reach to the target audience. With Zoom and Teams becoming the new meeting rooms, the need of the hour is to adapt the new high-tech trends of communication. With our students effectively making use of WhatsApp, Instagram, Google, etc., they have already got into the stride of the present. The traditional public speaking skills are still important as before. Dale Carnegie, the father of modern public speaking, is of the view that communication skills were just like any other kinesthetic skills. So make use of every opportunity to speak confidently in public, besides honing your online communication skills and mastering various software. Rapid advancements of the related information technology should be taken in your stride now and always. Take the competitive examinations in the right earnest and with positive attitude, with all the great determination and perseverance that are prerequisites for success. Be assured of your goals and never let your dreams die in any circumstance. Where there is a will, there is a way. So temptation, fatigue, lack of self-belief, self-criticism, stress, it may come your way. But remember, success does not come easily to anyone. With the words of futurist Alvin Toffler, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So only by challenging your own thinking can you do the requisite unlearning and relearning to make smarter decisions. Congratulations to the TKM Civil Service Club and all the office bearers who have taken up a strong resolve for the student community. Good luck and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. For the felicitation, I would like to invite Professor Atul M. Madhu, Faculty, Department of Civil Engineering, and Faculty Coordinator, Civil Service Club.
Respected Principal in Charge, Dr. Imtiaz Ahmad, Chief Guest of the function, Shri K. Biju IAS, Chairperson of Library Council, Dr. Annie John, Joint Coordinator of Library Council, Dr. Amal Asad, club members, my dear colleagues and student friends, good evening to one and all. With bad laws and good civil servants, it's still possible to govern. With bad civil servant, even the best laws cannot help. This is the famous words of Otto von Bismarck. The role of civil servants in the nation building needs no introduction. So this was our humble start to the nation building. So I take this opportunity to congratulate each and every member of the Civil Service Aspirants Club who has put up their effort in organizing an inaugural function. Although the club was unofficially founded in 2016, it has contributed immensely in nurturing and mentoring numerous aspirants. The club is well known for its varieties of activities and events that has helped the students to better themselves. So I would like to also remember the great legendary visionaries of Dr. Ayubas, our principal, Shahul Hamid sir, and the previous faculty members who have jointly contributed great to the functioning of the club. Without taking much of the time, let me take this opportunity to thank each and every club members who selflessly contributed their time and effort for organizing this function. I wish the club and its members all the best in mentoring the students, and let there be more and more students who get in the elite civil service club. Wishing you all the very best. And I also like to thank our chief guest for inviting or for accepting your invitation and giving a great talk. Thank you so much. And all the very best for the Civil Service Aspirants Club and its members. Good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. It's time for an interactive session with the chief guest. The platform is now open for discussion. Participants can ask the questions either by unmuting yourself, or you can drop the questions in the chat box.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, good evening, please.
Sir, you have said that it is important to identify the path to clear those 3 doors into civil examination. So, how can we identify those paths, and who will be there for guiding us, and what will be the source to get identified? Could you please clear it?
Yeah, I didn't tell that you should identify the path. I just told that these 3 doors need to be open for us to reach that goal. Now, how do you open that door means that you need to prepare for that particular examination. There are three steps. One is the prelims, second is the mains, and third is the interview. Now, you need to take everything step by step. Unless you clear the prelims, you will not be able to write the mains. If you do not clear the mains, you will not be able to go for the interview. And if you do not actually have the mark of the mains and the interview together, and then you don't come into the rank list, you will not be able to get into the service. Now, how do you actually start getting into each of these steps? The first thing is, for the prelims, you need to have, just like brushing your teeth, a habit of reading. Now, what do you read? You need to be abreast of what newspaper do you read? You might be reading the Times of India, you might be reading the Indian Express, or you might be reading the Hindu. Either of these newspapers, you should read thoroughly, and you should have in-depth knowledge of what is happening in the country. Suppose you're taking the exam next May. From this May itself, you should start reading the newspaper, because all the questions will be from May to the next May. But the point is, you just cannot simply read for the sake of the examination. You need to have a reading habit cultivated right from your engineering college days, if you are serious about writing the examination after you pass the engineering exam. So that reading habit has to be cultivated. Also, the basic textbooks which are required for history, geography, physics, chemistry, mathematics, those textbooks are supposed to be read. Already you have done it, actually, the NCERT textbooks in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. But you might have to reread it, because some of the basic concepts you would have forgotten, or you don't remember. Suppose if I ask you, the Tropic of Cancer passes through which all states, immediately you will not be able to tell. Or you tell me what are the landlocked states in India. This is the question which comes. It is a very commonsensical question which we would have done in 6th standard and 7th standard. But when we finished our engineering, you would not have that basic knowledge for us to remember those things or to understand that question. So you need to go back to your basics and read through. Along with that, you see that your reading habit is improved by reading thoroughly a newspaper. I would recommend that you read the Hindu newspaper. After you get service, I do not bother whether you want to read or what. That's a different issue. But to get the service, the Hindu newspaper broadly gives you a lot of issues which they discuss in the editorial, as well as in sporting events, they cover it well, as well as a paper called Business Line or any other newspaper which is related to finance also. So these are the steps which you need to do. And if you want me to recommend those books, definitely in another session, I can recommend what are the books that you should read for the prelims examination. Now, prelims is actually a one-word type of answer. But you should, when you're studying for the prelims itself, you should be able to read for the mains, because the mains will make you actually think creatively and write with precision because you need to have information and you need to digest that information in a proper format in the mains. So mains, you study in a one-word type of question, then you come to the mains exam, I mean in the prelims examination, then you come to the mains examination. So mains examination is a different type of writing skill which you need to develop. So for all this, there are books to be read, and if you are not well versed in a particular subject, there are orientation also to be done. And for the interview, it's a different issue which you need to do after you finish your, you clear your mains. For that, we will be able to guide you. But if you want like personal guidance, or you want to exactly know what are the books you want to read, etc., then I can give you maybe another session where I come personally and meet all of you and then try to explain to you how to read a newspaper. Exactly, how to read a newspaper, how to read a book. Because when you read a book, typically you just skim through. That is not required, that is not sufficient in civil service. You need to go in depth into each line which you're reading. And you need to be precise into what you're trying to study. So that is the difference between like how we study now and when we study for the civil service examination. I hope I answered it correctly. If you have any doubt, I can further go into how to go about it.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, the students come from different states of the society. So is there any kind of a government initiative to help the students coming from downtrodden sections who are very aspirant about civil service?
Yeah. See, right now we have the Civil Service Academy, which is functioning in Trivandrum, which is actually run wholly by the government. So for the downtrodden students and for students who feel that they cannot go to some private coaching institute which actually charge a hefty sum, this option is available, so that they get a very good discount, and also they get some reductions in terms of they can use the library freely. They can go and take up magazines and books from the library to read. So that facility is available in Trivandrum, and some of the districts have opened the centers also. The same Civil Service Academy government institution has opened up centers in some districts. I do not know if it is there in Kollam, but it is there in Malappuram and Palakkad and other districts in the Malabar region. But they can also attend the class in the Civil Service Academy in Trivandrum.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
In the earlier answers, sir, I have mentioned about the personal assistance we can get for clearing the examination. So networking is an important part of how to clear examinations. Like we need to be connected with the persons who have already cleared the examination. So for the networking, what is the best way to network like the aspirants? Networking for the aspirants, like people who have already cleared and people who are very expert in this field. So how to properly connect to these people and how to network to these people?
See, you network to people means you have my number, and my number is available. You can come and just call over and meet me. That is one. Then there are some other officers also who are available. We can actually organize such meetings for you so that you can go and meet them also. So we'll give you a list of numbers of young aspirants, young officers who have just cleared the examination. So their worldview would be quite different from what I am saying. But I am just telling you the basic background. I am available always. You can always come and meet me here in Trivandrum. You can call over and just come. At the same time, if you want to meet other officers who have just cleared the exam, we will make arrangements for that also. That's not an issue.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
What is that? You can't read from it. It's quite far. Huh?
So we have some questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
I'll be reading out.
Yeah.
The first one is from Sharon Saji. The question is, how was the experience as Sub-Collector of Trivandrum and Commissioner of Trivandrum and Cochin Corporation? Which is more challenging?
See, when you are a young officer who's coming into the service, you will be your first posting will actually be the Sub-Collector. So in Trivandrum, when I landed in Trivandrum, the challenges were like, it was initially very, I was taken aback because I had to on the second day see a suicide of a young lady, and I had to bring down the body. So such instances, and then law and order issues there. Then there was a firing incident in the coastal region, which I had to handle. So the point is that as commissioner of corporations, you are more under pressure because you have a lot of ward members to take care, and you are dealing with more and more of political functionaries in the field. So the challenges are more, and you will learn man management skills, negotiation skills more at the corporation level. But at the sub-collector level, since you are empowered by acts and rules, it is more easy to operate at the sub-collector level because the laws are very clearly defined. The powers also are very defined. But at the corporation level, you have a mix of it's not like the commissioner system in other states where it is well-defined powers of the commissioner. Here you have the mayor also to work through. So it will, as a young officer, you will be able to negotiate the intricacies of the political dynamics which works in a particular corporation, and you get to know how to behave with people, like ward members. Then you go through the proceedings of the council, and you get involved in developmental activities also of the corporation. So all this, the challenges are more in terms of in terms of work profile at the corporation level because of the complexity of issues which we need to tackle.
So we have one more question. Sir, you have suggested now we should go through 6 to 12 class book. So is it compulsory to study NCERT textbooks?
The NCERT textbooks is because the recommended reading books are NCERT textbooks, because the basic fundamental issues of mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, science and technology, everything is coming in those textbooks. So if you're well read, if you take modern India, ancient India, from all these textbooks only the questions comes. So you need to read those textbooks. They are compulsory textbooks or the base textbooks. Maybe some people read guides, they go to coaching institutes, but if you do not have your base covered, I don't think you will be able to progress further when you start reading the other textbooks, which acts only as a supplement.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Sir,
someone has asked.
I've got one more question. It's been generally said that if you take engineering subjects as the optionals, it's going to be really tough or difficult. So what's your say on that?
It's tough or easy? I didn't understand.
Tough, it's tough, it's tough. It's really tough. If you take engineering subjects as the...
No. Engineering is actually very easy because you take the first two papers in prelims. You have paper 1 in the morning and paper 2 in the afternoon. So one of that paper is called Csat. That is basically aptitude. You test your basic mathematical knowledge and your English vocabulary skills. So you have a comprehension. You have you have some questions which are related to the English language, basically your grammatical issues. Then you have your mathematics, which is covering most of it. That is your basic problems of what you call probability. You have your distance problems, all these fundamental problems which we do, percentages, etc. So if you're not good with your basics only, it is a problem. And engineers, I think, will be able to clear the Csat very easily.
Sir, I mean the optionals, the optional subjects.
No, optional, if you take, don't take any. See, I would not suggest that you take engineering as a subject unless you're so thorough with your BTech subjects. But many people have taken engineering also. But if you feel that you're comfortable in some other subject, maybe if you're comfortable in sociology, an engineer can read through all these subjects. But somebody in sociology cannot read an engineering subject, right? So an engineer can easily read, because some of the theory papers which you have in your different semesters, it is just like that only. But the point is, how do we write? It is totally different from how you write in your engineering marks, an essay paper. So I think when you take sociology or public administration, it will be a very easy subject for you to crack, provided you supplement it with some good reading and some relevant knowledge which is available in the newspapers. So it is not at all tough examination. It becomes tough because we are not guided properly.
Sir, can I ask a question, sir?
Yes.
So how can we make use of group discussions in order to better prepare the students, and how exactly do we get them to do the kind of group discussions that is required?
See, the point is when group discussions play a very important role, because one is I have a viewpoint and you also have a viewpoint, another person has a viewpoint. We learn to be accommodative to viewpoints, one. Then we don't stick to particular viewpoint. We see that we analyze it, we rationalize those issues, and then we present it in a proper way. Suppose through these group discussions, what happens is when we are trying to address a particular topic in a group discussion,
Sir, I think you are not audible. Mr. Vaidyanathan.
Ma'am, is it audible?
Yes, yes.
yeah, sorry. So how does group discussion help is when a particular question is asked. So say, for example, we just say that we can say about the the Ukraine invasion of Russia. This is a current topic, right? So that in a group discussion, if we are discussing about it, you will have a viewpoint, I will have a viewpoint, but I will back my viewpoint with my own data which I have done, which the learnings which I have done, the readings which I have done, and also my what we call predetermined certain convictions and beliefs. These will be the based on which I will be presenting in my group discussion. Now, when I write the answer, I cannot be totally biased because I have in the group discussion, I have got 5 people's views. Then I try to see that all those views are accommodated when I start writing a particular answer, because I have a broad idea of the entire issue. Then I rephrase it in such a way that I will be able to give a balanced answer. Nobody wants a very biased answer in a civil service. People, and you cannot use extreme words that they are the worst, they are the best. No, we will have a very balanced approach when we write the answer. We will see what is the issue, what is the current context of the issue, and what is the opinion which you are giving, which is not very biased, but which is balanced. So in a group discussion, because of our accommodative approach on the ability to listen to other views, we will be able to write a better answer. So group discussion will always open up your mind. It will actually give you the freedom to listen to other people, accommodate their views, see the other person's point of view, and write a balance and take a balanced view when you're writing the answer.
Okay.
What is it? Take this country, it's too far away from me. Can you just repeat?
Yes, sir, there is a question. Sir, is there any truth that the life of civil servants are hectic?
See, you should choose a job you love in your life that you feel that you're not working. So if your father told you to become a civil servant, then it is not correct. You should actually choose your profession. See, there are so many professors here. They would have been very happy in this profession. Suppose somebody forces you to become a civil servant, then you become a misfit. So this gives you positional authority. So positional authority means that your reputation will travel before you reach the chair. And also when you come to work, you should be dedicated. So once you're dedicated, you will feel that you're not working. It's not hectic, but you will be doing different types of job. If you enjoy it, I don't think that's an issue at all. And if you stand for truthfulness, and if you are just and fair, there is nothing to fear in the civil services. It's a myth that it is hectic. Of course, it is hectic. You will have to work. You will have to go to different parts of the country. You will have to go to inhospitable locations during elections. But it is challenging. At the same time, it is very satisfying.
There can be situations wherein the suggestions put forward by the IAS officers would normally get rejected by the superiors. Have you ever experienced such a thing? On what measures were adopted to convince the superiors?
see, we all work in the civil service as per the rules and regulations which are set forth. Now, in a democracy, you have the political executive. They come through the elected mechanism. I mean, they come through an election process. And the legislature is supreme with regard to lawmaking. Now, the civil servant is somebody who implements these laws, and it should be as per the law framed by the particular legislature. So when we put up these issues, we see that it is as per the rules. It is for us to put the thing as per the rules, because the entire community has placed their faith on the legislature and the political executive to make laws. The law may be right or the law may be wrong, but it is our duty to actually implement the law for the particular project or for the citizens of this country. Now, the question comes when they overrule us. The point is that they are free to overrule. The minister can, of course, overrule your particular view and then issue an order. Suppose the cabinet takes a decision. It might be against the view which I had given. But even if it is against, again, if it is against the law, I can always give it for reconsideration. And still, if they overrule it, we have no other go, we will have to implement it. But normally, a civil servant's opinion, which gives the pros and cons of an issue, is generally taken. And I don't think that they will overrule it at that way unless we give a very foolish decision. I don't think we will do that, because we will analyze an issue from all aspects, looking at the current relevant rules and regulations, the current scenario, and for what purpose is it going to benefit the society. So we should be able to, we cannot actually break the rule, but we sometimes will have to bend the rule for a particular downtrodden section of the society in some instances. So we need to be practical also when we are giving advice to the political. And if you want to ask for examples that whether our opinion was overruled, there have been instances when some of the cases they will try to overrule, but most of the times they go by the opinion of the civil servants, because we analyze it from all aspects and then put it up to the political executive for a decision.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there's a question from Faiz. How can a civil servant work without getting influenced by politicians or on political interests?
See, this is actually a myth, actually. People from outside the civil, I mean, outside the government will always have this view. Here, the point is that in a democratic setup, we have chosen something called democracy. In a democratic setup, the politician, see, it is like in a colony or in a particular area, there is no water. Now, the ward member or the particular politician only will know that those people are actually suffering. They don't have water. Now, my duty is to actually prepare the policy, prepare the project, see how it is going to be implemented in that particular area. So our duty is to see that the project is implemented on time. It is implemented scientifically, the least cost. Is it done through a proper tender process, and implement it and see that the water is going there to that place. The politician's role is to identify that particular problem, because we are sitting as bureaucrats. We will never know in that particular colony what is the issue. So the ground reality is always brought out by the political executive. Now, we need to work as two wheels of a particular chariot. Then only we can bring development to the society. So the political viewpoint, if it is against the particular rule, we should be able to politely decline that and explain to it why it cannot be done. But if we are able to work with the political executive with an open mind, I'm not saying that everywhere there are good politicians. There will also be problematic politicians and problematic bureaucrats. So it is a question of how we handle that issue in a very amicable way, and we try to sort out. But there will be issues where we will have to disagree, and we will have to move forward also when it is against the law. So political pressures come in because the particular constituency of people who they represent will naturally be pressurizing them with so many other issues. Then sometimes politicians as well as bureaucrats get into personal aggrandizement, or they try to see that it is for their personal benefit. That time we will have to oppose it tooth and nail, come what may. That is how we sometimes you will find there are some sort of differences between politicians and us. It is because we do not accept unreasonable demands. And as civil servants, you are protected by the Constitution. So you need not fear. At the most, they will tell you to pack your bags and go somewhere. So you should not be afraid of the 3 Ps. What are the 3 Ps? Postings, promotions, and places. What's it? Postings, promotions, and places. You should not be afraid of that. So come into the civil service, you need not bother. If you have a disagreement, you write it on the file and leave it. If they want to transfer you, they transfer you. How does it matter?
Thank you, sir. So there is one more question. What is the difference between learning and reading?
See, reading is when you're just reading, you keep reading about an issue. And what do you mean by learning is, see, after reading an article, you are expected to write something about that article in a piece of paper. When you start writing, really, have you really got in depth into that particular article which you have read, and then you cull out the important things and you write, then you really learn about that entire issue properly. So that is the difference. Reading is you just read and you go ahead. But when you start culling out the important information from that particular essay or from that particular article, and then you start writing with your own creative thought, it becomes learning.
Sir, how was your experience when you were at our college, when you were a student? And what are the activities and clubs where you were involved in apart from the regular studies?
See, I used to participate in this elocution competition. There used to be this competition between different in semesters we used to have this arts college function, etc. So we used to participate in that. I remember that I had got some prizes also. Then we used to be in the sporting clubs also most of the time. So the experience was very good, and we had a very good set of, I think Professor Ayub also was there. That time he was in civil engineering, I think. Then there was Benjamin sir from mechanical engineering, and we had good memories with all our staff as well as students. And we used to stay in the MH hostel in those days. So the time spent in TKM are very good, and very good memories we had. So most of these were related to the arts club as well as in the sporting events which I participated.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, what are the positive changes you observed in yourself after entering into the service?
See, it is like if you compare the French civil service and the Indian civil service, there is a difference. See, your personality is actually formed right from your small young days because of the environment in which you grow. The schooling matters, your parental influence matters. Then you come to college, and then from there only you gravitate towards civil services. Whereas in the French civil services, it is like the NDA exam. After you finish your 12th, you're sent into the civil services. It is called l'école d'administration. Here, like the NDA, after your 12th, you pass the examination and you get into the NDA. So when you get into the NDA, after 5 years, you come out, and then you are willing to choose whether you want to go to the Navy, you want to go to the Air Force, or you want to go to the Army. Same way, your personality actually is molded by various factors before you actually enter the civil service. So for me, it is schooling, my college days, then my parental background, my background of my family, then the values which have been ingrained in me. All this actually is a mixture of my personality. So actually not much changes will come in me when I come into the civil service, because this entire personality has already been molded for many years. So basic core values will remain always the same. Of course, the way you adapt to the situation as a civil servant will change. How you react, how you respond to people's problems will change. But your basic personality, I don't think it would have changed after coming into the civil service. Can you just read it out? The screen is very far from here.
Yes, sir. So that's a question from Muhassin Ashik. The question is, sir, will it be challenging to prepare for civil service exam as a working professional? Can you share your preparation experiences?
see, as a working professional, you would not have any issue with regard to preparation. Only thing is that you will need to have some, you will need to find time in the evenings or early mornings, apart from your other activities, to spend time for preparation. And preparation is a serious business, because you need to be really dedicated with preparation. You cannot have half-baked measures. It is like 99% hard work and 1% luck. So you need to really work hard with your subjects. So as a working professional, it is how much time you are able to spend for this particular exam. And you need to really spend time. It's not a question that if you don't spend time, you don't get it. So, and what is my experience is that I actually worked for a one and a half year or 2 years. Then I actually left that and then prepared exclusively for this, because I felt that you need to give 100%. I do not know how many people can give, but there are people who are working as well as studying. So it depends on how much time you have with you at your disposal.
So there is one more question. Is there any physical or medical checkup there? When does that take place? After interview or before interview?
You have two medical checkups. One is after your interview, you have a basic medical checkup. And there is a height restriction, I mean, height issue for the IPS. But for the other, it is one exam with 27 services. Please remember, it's not only for the IAS. IAS is there, IPS is there, IFS is there, Foreign Service is there, IRS is there, Indian Traffic Service is there, Indian Railway Service is there. Like that, there are 27 services for which you have one exam. So after your interview, you will be having a basic medical checkup, and you need to clear that medical checkup. And after you qualify for the civil services, again, there is one more medical checkup for which you will have to attend. More or less on the same lines, but they check your heart rate and your BP, then your other medical parameters of hearing, eyesight, all these issues. For IAS, it is not a problem, but for the IPS, eyesight is an issue, as well as height will be an issue. For the other services, it's not much of an issue.
Thank you, sir, for your answers. It was really valuable.
Thank you.
And due to lack of time, we are restricting the interactive session here. And now I would like to invite our club ambassador, Asha Vichan, for a brief club introduction.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Respected Chief Guest, Mr. K. Biju IAS, Commissioner Land Revenue Department, and all other important guests gathered here, a warm welcome and a good evening to one and all. Today, I am here to give a brief introduction about TKM Civil Service Aspirants Club. As you all know, there can be no government without administrative machinery. Civil servants are responsible for implementing law and executing policies framed by the government. Amidst political instability, civil service offers stability and permanence. Civil servants can make remarkable change in society. Successful policy implementation will lead to positive changes in the lives of ordinary people. It is only when promised goods and services reach the intended beneficiaries a government can call any scheme successful. The task of actualizing schemes and policies fall with the officers of civil services. In a democracy, the civil service play an extremely important role in administration, policy formulation, implementation, and in taking the country forward towards progress and development. TKM Civil Service Aspirants Club functions with the greatest intention to enrich and take care of the affairs of civil service aspirants of TKM College of Engineering. Our vision is to make students aware of the social, political, economic, and ethical issues happening around them, along with helping them to achieve their dream to be a civil servant. Our club also inspires and imparts confidence in every member so that they could reach up to their goals. Here we create an interactive platform for students to discuss and debate issues of current relevance. Looking into the history of our club, the club was unofficially founded in the year 2016-17. From then on, the club worked completely to help the members to reach their goals by properly organizing events and activities. Activities like group discussions, interactive sections, orientation programs were conducted regularly for the past years. In the academic year 2020-21, a new executive committee was formed with Ms. Gobika Krishna as Club Ambassador, Ms. Asha Vichand as Student Head, and Mr. Akshay Kannan as Joint Student Head. A civil service corner was introduced on the campus library in the name Aroma Lace, where most of the activities were conducted. That year's program were kicked off with an interactive session with Mr. K. Rajaraman IAS, a senior IAS officer of Tamil Nadu Cadre, who was also our alumnus. The club was launched an Instagram page to share events of current relevance daily with the intention of making students aware of our current socio-political situations. The dailies and materials which can help in the journey of civil service preparation was also shared among the members. The club also initiated online group discussion on a monthly basis. Group discussions helps in improving the thinking, listening, and speaking skill. Our club's group discussions intend to change the perspective with which one approaches a problem. We also conducted 2-minute speaking challenges and various other competitions to ensure constant participation of the members. In the same year, we also conducted an orientation program of UPSC aspirants and is inaugurated by Mr. Mohammad Sajjad IAS. The session helped the attendees to acquire a thorough understanding of pattern and challenges of UPSC examination. In the year 2020-22, a new executive committee was formed with Ms. Asha Vichand as Club Ambassador, Ms. Jumna TP as Student Head, and Mr. Royal George Abraham as Joint Student Head. This year's program was started with the official registration of the club in the name Civil Service Aspirants Club. A new quiz program called Inquisitive was introduced weekly, which is completely based on the current affairs of that week. This program has great participation and support from the student side. Daily sharing of materials are also continued. We also conducted an orientation program completely for first-year students. As part of Republic Day celebrations, a 2-day event called Grand Tour 73 is conducted with the programs which includes quiz competitions, speaking challenges, group discussions, essay competitions, etc. Our future plan is to ensure constant support for the members for their civil service exam preparation. For this, we are planning to conduct a series of basic level classes which can boost their initial stages of preparation. We are also planning to form peer groups, which is a group of serious aspirants who wish to discuss their ideas. This group can definitely help in their preparation. We wish the support and help from the college and the members for its future progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, to propose the vote of thanks, I invite Ms. Jumna TP, Student Head, Civil Service Aspirants Club.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you're audible.
Good evening, all. I consider it a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries who have made it convenient to attend this inaugural ceremony of Civil Service Aspirants Club. On behalf of our club, I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to the respected Sir, Shri K. Biju IAS, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion as the chief guest. We had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future events. We are extremely grateful to you, sir. Thank you. We are deeply grateful to the respected principal in charge, Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, sir, for presiding over this function and for an enlightening address. Thank you, sir. I must express my deep gratitude to Dr. Amal ma'am, Joint Coordinator of Library Council, for the welcome address, Dr. Annie ma'am, Chairperson of Library Council, and Professor Adil M. Madhu, sir, for Faculty Coordinator of Civil Service Aspirants Club, for their felicitation. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank the club ambassador, Ms. Asha Vichand, for the club introduction. I must thank the principal of TKMC in his absence, who have taken keen interest in the program, Dr. T. Shahul Amit, sir, for his continuous support and guidance. Thank you, sir. Last but not least, I would like to thank the coordinators of the program, Civil Service Aspirants Club members, and all the participants who gathered here to make this program a great success. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, I thank each one of you for joining the session and making it a grand success. We expect your constant support and participation for the future endeavors of the club. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you, Imtiaz, sir, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you all.